Hey, this is Aaron,
And this is Kristin.
and this is Drive Mode Show.
Hey, with more interesting things from us. But first, I have to tell you about something ridiculous.
Uh-oh.
I was helping my son with a project for school, frying up some churros, and the oil splattered all over my face, my arms. So I've got some pretty new oil tattoos.
Ugh.
And yeah, so that's my dumb move of the week.
Mine wasn't so bad. I just got pooped on by chickens.
Bleep. That I was not expecting that.
So, today we're going to talk about electric stuff.
All right, let's talk about electric pickups because they are starting to pick up steam or not steam. So here's something interesting. Just yesterday, Kia came out with its investor report. They are planning an all-electric pickup for North America.
Yep. Um, really looking forward to that because I would like to see what it's going to look like, what size it's going to be, all those things.
Yeah.
I think right now the mid-size or small pickup truck markets are kind of ripe for an electric. So it would be cool to see one in there. Right now, the closest you can get is the Maverick Hybrid, I think.
I think so, but there's definitely some coming, and people have been talking about Tello, which is an all-electric pickup truck, and they partnered with Aptera, that weird, like, helicopter-looking
Little
all-electric.
solar car.
Yeah,
I've written about that many, many times in the past. Aptera is one of those come and go companies. They showed up, disappeared, showed up again, disappeared. Um, the current one is closer to market than any of the other stuff that they've done up to this point. So we'll see if they actually get there.
yeah, we'll see. And then Ram, of course, is coming out with the Ram Charger, their all-electric truck, but that's kind of on hold. Oh no, that's the Ram Charger is actually the long range
Right.
extended one, and then the Rev is the electric truck,
Yes.
and that we don't know when that's going to come out.
Yeah. They're, I mean, they're talking about bringing back V8s. So because the Challenger EV is not doing as well as they had hoped, or the Charger EV, it's not doing as well as they had hoped. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
And that's a pretty fun car, but I think they made it because they felt the pressure
Right.
of making an EV, and now they don't.
Hmm.
The winds change, the administration changes, the culture changes. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of political pressure on that one. Um, Cafe standards being the big one, because especially the Dodge brand, but just Stellantis overall was going to have a rough time meeting the cafe requirements if they still had those very high displacement and high or low MPG V8 cars running around. So they had to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Um, but pickup trucks. So for electric trucks, there's really only four right now. There's four that you can buy this minute on the dealership lot. The politics of how cheap they're going to be or not be is different than it's not what we're going to talk about. We're just going to talk about what are they like. So let's name the four.
First, we've got the Ford F-150 Lightning, then the Chevy Silverado EV, the Rivian R1T. Who am I forgetting?
Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't really consider that a pickup truck. It's kind of like it or love it. Wait, love it or hate it. It's in a category of its own. I mean, who's really using their Cybertruck as a pickup truck?
So I see
Yeah.
several of them around here. One that has Wyoming plates, and that guy has an interesting thing that he's doing with his. He was doing Uber and Lyft with it, and then he got so many requests to come to like kids' birthday parties and stuff that that's all he does with it.
What? That's
Yeah.
hilarious. That's
Um,
actually kind of cute.
Otherwise, the only ones that I ever see have Colorado plates on them. So they're coming up from Colorado. I have yet to see any of them towing anything, and I've yet to see any of them with the bed open and stuff in it. So
Yeah.
I think you're pretty much right on they really don't get used as trucks.
Yeah,
But
they really don't. I mean, and the
that's
thing is,
fair.
you can see a lot better out of the back if you have the tonneau covered down.
Right.
So if you're using the bed, you're going to have better visibility. But I'm not seeing any, of course, here in Austin, nobody's really using that. And in West Texas, I don't think they've even seen a Cybertruck yet.
So since we started talking about it, we might as well just start with the Tesla. Um, I have not driven it, so I'll leave it up to you to talk about what it's like to drive as a vehicle beyond towing and hauling.
So, just very randomly, I live in Austin. So, the Tesla Gigafactory is not far away. And there's tons of Tesla employees that live here in Austin. Well, I found out that one of my neighbors works for Tesla. He's an engineer. He worked on the Cybertruck. And I haven't, he's not really, he can't really say much, right? Because they're very tight lipped about everything. But he insisted that I drive his Cybertruck Foundation. I was like, I don't need to drive your 6-figure car. It's okay. So he and his wife had matching Cybertruck Foundations. And so he insisted I drive it. I drove it, a couple miles around just to see what it's like. It's like driving some weird spaceship. It's, and I think Rivian is too in some ways because the controls are so different. But the Cybertruck, the turn signals are weird, the controls are weird. It's got this huge light show. It's really an experience more than it's actually practical as a truck. That's why I don't even think of it as an EV truck.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's in the name, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think that out of all the Tesla vehicles, the Cybertruck was really Elon's pet. It was really what he wanted to make. It was his kind of dream vehicle, I want to say. And I think that really shows when you look at what the interior looks like and just the shape of the vehicle and where he got that from. It all makes sense if you think of it as this is Elon's truck. Versus the other models, the Model S, the Model E, and so on. Those are more contemporary by comparison. So those are made to be volume sellers. I don't think the Cybertruck was. As much as he hyped it, I don't think that's what he was aiming for.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a geek nerd pet project, and I don't mean that at all as an insult, because as I tell my son, nerd means you're cool, And I don't necessarily think that Elon's cool, but I think that I get if you have the opportunity to make your own vehicle in whatever version you want, that's really how Singer vehicles got his start, right? Rob Dixon was like, I'm going to make a perfect Porsche. It's great, yeah. But so there you are. That's all I've got. I didn't get a whole lot of time with it, but it's a strange beast.
Let's do the Rivian first, because that was the first production electric truck by a few months. So let's start with the Rivian. The R1T is really nicely designed in terms of the looks. I really actually like the looks of it. But it has some ergonomic flaws. The famous tunnel down the middle, when you open that, the openings come down like this, which is where your legs need to be to load things in and out of that tunnel. So it's a little off, and then those doors that fold down would naturally be a step to get into the back part of the bed, but you can't step on them. You'll break it. So that's a little bit of an oversight, but I do like the fact that if you put something in the center of the tunnel, from the inside of the truck, you can fold down the drink holder armrest in the middle of the two seats and reach through to get stuff out of that tunnel, which is pretty cool. And then the tunnel is fully lined, so to clean it, all you have to do is open both sides and hose it out. So
yeah, that's pretty smart.
You don't have to climb in there to clean it. Otherwise, like, Jill would have a great side gig set up.
She just cover herself in car wash sponges and wiggle through.
Just roll through it.
That sounds like a Dirty Jobs episode.
That's a visual I might have to try to get AI to make. Otherwise, it drives really nicely. It feels really good. It off-roads like a beast. I really did not expect it to off-road well, and it was awesome. It did really, really well. That air suspension makes a lot of that happen, and then the full pan underneath is a big thing too. But it has really good off-road cred in the tri-motor version.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Rivian R1T is probably the best of the electric trucks off-road.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's also got a really nice. I like the way the bed is set up. I don't know if you noticed this, but if I owned one, I would chuck the spare tire, because driving around town, you really don't need that. So I would only use the spare tire on the long trips. And if you take that out, that means that space underneath the truck bed opens up to put things like groceries and stuff instead of that spare.
Right.
And it's pretty hidden. Like you wouldn't even know it was there. That's one of the reasons I like the Honda Ridgeline, is because it has that storage area right there. And then I really like, once you get used to the controls, they make sense. The only thing that bothers me is I don't want to have to reach over and just do a little thing to run windshield wipers. I want to just run them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really like the controls once you get used to them.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve with the controls. I felt like it was a little challenging to figure out what those all were. But for us, we only get to spend a little time with each vehicle. If we were daily driving it, we would automatically know where to go.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to get the app to work. And a whole lot of things really need the app to be convenient. But I know a couple people that own them, and then a couple of other journalists that drove the same truck, and their app, they did get the app to work. I'm on my end, I'm pretty sure it was my phone, not the truck. So, and they really liked it, because from the app you can lock and unlock doors, you can remote start, all that stuff. You can control a whole lot of things before you even get in the truck. So using like the key card all the time, that was super inconvenient for me. But had the app been working, it would have just automatically responded to my phone, and none of that would have been a problem. So I really liked the Rivian. Should we move on? I think it's time for the Ford Lightning.
Okay, let's talk about the Ford Lightning. We actually used the Lightning about a year and a half ago. We used one to move into our new house. And we did lots of trips back and forth, and it was very convenient. It was, it acts like a pickup truck. It does all the things pickup trucks are supposed to do. We weren't trying to tow. We weren't trying to off-road. It was just straight street drives. And it was so quiet. And it was lovely inside the cabin.
Nice. I really like the F-150 Lightning. If you think of it as a sedan with a pickup truck bed. If you try to think of it as a pickup, it's probably going to fail you. Simply because once you hook up a trailer, you have no range. You're going to be right around 100 miles of range, regardless of how big the trailer is. It's not good for that. But everything else, it's good at. You can use it just like the F-150 hybrid, you can use it as a job site generator. You can use it as, so if the power goes out in your neighborhood or something, you can use it to power things. You can use it to haul things around like you did. It does really well with a whole lot of things. And because it's made by Ford, who has a lot of experience with pickup trucks, it's a pretty ergonomic truck. Everything is kind of just there and where you think it should be, and it just happens for you. The Silverado that we'll get to is the same way. This is what experienced truck makers make versus those who are kind of new to the game.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think Ford and Chevy both, they build their EV trucks like they build their gas-powered trucks, right? Because it's familiar, and that's an advantage for them when it comes to sales. People love the way the F-150 looks and drives. Obviously, it's a bestseller.
Yeah.
And the Chevy Silverado, same for that brand. They know in order to get people to try it, it needs to look and feel familiar, where like the Rivian and the Cybertruck, they're their own animals.
Yeah, and those are companies that are trying to get somewhere, especially the Rivian. And I think there's a place for them, and I think they're going to do well, honestly. The F-150 Lightning is not selling terribly well. Ford was expecting more than what they got out of it. But some of that isn't just the truck. Most of it isn't really the truck. It's the market and the politics, really. But if you put those aside and you just look at it as another option in a line of pickup truck options, it's a pretty great option for if you don't, make long road trips, tow a big trailer all the time, do those sorts of things. If you drive your truck, so when I wrote about it the first time I drove it, I called it the ultimate urban cowboy vehicle, because if you don't actually do all of those things on the regular, but you still drive a pickup truck, this is a great fit because it still does the other pickup truck things. You can still go to the home improvement store, and you can still do all those pickup truck things. You can still help your neighbor move or call in sick when your neighbor tells you they need to move. But you still use it for those things. And it's a really good truck for that. So,
yeah, I could see a general contractor really liking a truck like this. Just going around town, you throw your stuff in the back. Maybe a DIY type of person or someone who moves furniture a lot, but doesn't go long distances. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah, I actually spoke with a cabinet maker in California who uses one to deliver cabinets. Has a small box trailer that goes on the back and loads all the stuff in there and drives it to the job site. And, for him, 30 miles, 40-mile round trip is the norm. So it's perfectly within what he needs. So.
Yeah, and I think that segues really well into the last on our list, the Chevrolet Silverado EV. Very similarly to the Ford F-150, it looks and feels like a Chevy Silverado gas-powered version. But I loved how light the Silverado EV felt. Like, it did not feel to me like driving a truck. It really felt like driving an electric SUV, something much lighter. It was light on its feet.
Yeah, it was. It has a lot of similarity with the Hummer, and
yes,
part of that is four-wheel steering. That's part of why it feels so light on its feet and maneuverable and easy to understand. Also, it's a very square design, which is again, pickup trucks, they need to be like that because you need to know where the corners are. Because to maneuver it, you can't necessarily see where that bumper is going to get. But if you know where the corner is, because it's a square body, then you know whether or not you're going to hit something. That's an important one. And then cargo in that, it has an interesting look to it. Overall, the design it looks like the Avalanche from back in the day, but the cargo with the fold down back wall is super cool.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was very functional. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Before the first time I drove it, I was like, yeah, it's a Chevy Silverado. Like, I know what that is. But it does, I think you make a great point, it does feel a lot like the Hummer EV, which is one of my favorite EVs.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fun to drive. It's ridiculous.
I love that thing.
I do too. I mean, people love to hate on it, but I think I really think it's awesome. I would buy one, especially in that really light frost ice blue.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
there's
agree.
a teacher at the middle school my daughter goes to that has a black one, and then the one I drove was kind of the silver color, and but you know the Silverado comes in the usual Silverado colors, so you can get it in like that beautiful kind of Chevy blue color, right? You can get that, and then uh, there's a that kind of eggshell white that they do so well, the really bright eggshell color, and then yeah, so and then as far as controls on the inside, it's 100% pure Chevy. You shift by pushing the little thing. You do the everything is just like so. One of the things that differentiates the Chevy and the Ford from the Rivian and the Tesla is that they're not screen based. The Rivian and the Tesla are very screen based. Most of the stuff happens on that giant screen over there.
Right.
Whereas on the Chevy and the Ford, everything happens with knobs and buttons like you normally would do. The giant screen is the bonus item, not the main course.
Yeah, I would call the Rivian and the Tesla EV trucks lifestyle trucks, where the Ford F-150 Lightning and the Chevy Silverado EV are both working trucks
Mm-hmm.
and can be and are used for that purpose. And that's how they're designed.
Yes. And
So,
that's the experience of the people making them. So
right.
um, it all fits.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to the upcoming electric trucks. So we might have to do a follow up on this in a year or so once we start maybe seeing some of these new ones come out.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see. I think in the next couple weeks, there's another one that's going to be emerging, and I'm sworn to secrecy on that one, but keep your eyes open.
Awesome. When's Lamborghini going to make another truck?
Not for a while.
How about a tractor?
Hmm. I mean, what farm can afford a Lamborghini tractor anymore?
All right.
Yeah, all good choices for
That's
different
been
reasons.
Roundup.
Agreed.
This is Aaron,
This is Kristen.
and this is Drive Mode Show.